let's take a look together at the calendar over these next 4 days. This is just the preamble, if you were. Things start tomorrow with the Trooping the Colour, which is the military pageant that marks the Queen's, the Sovereign's, official birthday. And it's going to be extra spectacular this time because it falls on the coronation anniversary and it kicks off these 4 days of holidays. So 1,400 soldiers, some 200 horses, some 400 musicians in various massed bands. It is going to be spectacular. The family is going to travel from the palace down the mall, which is about a 1-kilometer trek, to the Horse Guards Palace, the ceremonial grounds, and we will see William on horseback, Prince Charles on horseback, Princess Anne on horseback, and William and Kate's children, all three of them, we understand, George, Charlotte, and Louis, in one of those carriages for the very first time. At the end of the trooping is a flypast, a military flypast over Buckingham Palace, 6 minutes long, some 70 different aircraft I've been showing you over the morning, some of them, and we'll talk more about that today. And then at night, to conclude the very first day, which is tomorrow, the Thursday, the Platinum Jubilee beacons, which is a wonderful British tradition, lighting of the beacons as a symbol of unity, but also part of the tradition of celebration. More than 2,000 are going to be just glowing over the United Kingdom, and for the first time in all 54 Commonwealth nations, including Canada, including Ottawa, taking part in all of that. Friday, as Katie was mentioning, the service of Thanksgiving, which is at St. Paul's Cathedral, celebrating her reign and her faith, of course, we know is something very important to her, so she is expected to attend there. Saturday, horse racing. She loves horses. We don't think she'll be at this, but there is a big derby coming up at Epsom Downs, and then at night, this is what we're really giving you a good view of. 3 stages here at the Palace, ready to go for the Platinum Party at the Palace. Big concert. Brian May, remember 20 years ago, he played his guitar on the roof of Buckingham Palace. Somehow he's promised something even more memorable. Who knows what that could involve? But we've heard some rehearsals for Elton John. We've heard Andrew Lloyd Webber rehearse. We heard Lin-Manuel Miranda rehearse. It's going to be quite a range of performers, concluding in Diana Ross. She's going to be the ending of that concert on Saturday night. And then on Sunday, the big Jubilee lunch with some 10 million people participating, including Prince Charles and Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall. They're going to take part in one. And it is the big pageant, which is going to be, perhaps after all of that, the showstopper. Some 10,000 performers. There will be Canadians involved in that, Canadian Armed Forces members marching as part of that. We're told to watch for a gigantic puppet dragon, which is as wide as the mall itself. That's going to be spectacular, and topped only by the gold state coach, which is what Queen Elizabeth traveled to her coronation in. It hasn't been seen on the streets of London for 20 years, but they are bringing it up. She's not going to be traveling in it, but they are going to be projecting images of the Queen at the time of her coronation on the carriage, so that's going to be quite spectacular, and that is going to lead off the pageant. We have so much to talk about together over these next days. One of the big questions, though, circulating, in addition to the Queen's health and just how much of this Jubilee she'll be able to attend, is how much will we see of Prince Harry and Meghan and of Prince Andrew? We already know they won't be part of the big balcony moment at the trooping tomorrow because they're not working royals after the splits and the scandals. But they will be at the service of Thanksgiving on Friday and perhaps at other events. So there's a lot of discussion as part of this about whether this risks overshadowing the Queen and tainting the celebration even perhaps with concerns over the future of the monarchy. With more on that, we say good morning to Salima Shivji. Salima.
Harry and Meghan are expected to arrive in the UK and are expected to try to keep a bit of a low profile if they're able to, since of course a lot of people will be hoping to catch a glimpse of them. As you mentioned, they won't have a prominent role in the Trooping the Colour ceremony. They won't be on that balcony since they are not working royals. Prince Andrew won't be on that balcony either, of course, after he was cast out as a member of the working royal family because of the questions around his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, as well as after he paid millions of dollars in a settlement in a civil suit against him, a sexual assault allegation brought on by a woman that he says he never met. So Prince Andrew will not be on that balcony, but he is certainly in the headlines, and that's after comments made by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the most senior cleric of the Church of England. He suggested in an interview with the television network ITV that Andrew Andrew wants to make amends and that the public should be a little bit more forgiving. The Archbishop basically said that there is a difference between consequences and forgiveness, and he does hope that the public forgive. Those comments really not going over so well. The British public was also none too pleased when Andrew was seen escorting his mum, of course, the Queen, at the memorial service for his father, Prince Philip. So Andrew, very much, I would say, by far, the least popular member of the royal family these days.
Salima, let me ask you. I have a family who lives here. My sister lives here. My two young nieces, 16 and 14 just about, and we had dinner last night, and I was asking them, I said, what do you think about the Platinum Jubilee? I mean, are you excited about it? Are your friends talking about it? And they said, nah, not so much, sort of half and half, a bit of a divide. Not all that interested, didn't think it was all that relevant to them. I'm interested in knowing what young people you're talking to are telling you, and I'm also wondering what you're hearing particularly in the neighborhood you are in, and that is Croydon. What are you hearing there?
That's right, Heather. A lot of people that you speak with say, oh, they're just looking for right? Great that it's the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, but they get some time off. Here in Croydon, though, obviously it's one of the most diverse communities in London. More than 50% of the population from a diverse community, a lot of Afro-Caribbean countries, Asian countries as well, a lot of Indian population as well. Honestly, we were here for just a few minutes before a lot of people came up to us and wanted to speak with us and to tell us that they were looking forward to celebrating the Queen and saying thanks for all that she has done to the Commonwealth, and even young people as well. I had a 10-year-old come up and talk to me about how he thinks the Queen is great, and a 13-year-old as well, whose parents are originally from the Philippines, obviously those two born here in England. But there is a sense among some young people that there is a growing sense of that despite the Queen's popularity, perhaps other members of the royal family are not as popular. So the question is what will happen once the Queen is no longer here to the popularity of the monarchy. There is an anti-monarchist group that actually made a bit of a splash with some billboards in the weeks leading up to the Jubilee, putting up abolish the monarchy billboards. There was a little bit of displeasure from some people. Some people thought that was distasteful leading up to the Jubilee. But for the anti-monarchist group Republic, it perfectly made their point. They think that a lot of young people, and in surveys, cycling in front of the camera there. In a survey that the anti-monarchist group did, they found that about 25% of the British public is not so keen and would be happy to get rid of the monarchy as the head of state of England. And that sentiment very much stronger amongst young people. Here is a little bit more about what the group Republic thinks about all of the celebrations and the pageantry surrounding this Jubilee week.
Kardashians, state-funded, and it's, they are fairly uninteresting people, but they have enormous amounts of pull and power and influence, so they can put on this sort of jubilee, which, as I'm sure your footage will show, is all about tat and tacky souvenirs and bunting, rather than about celebrating the actual people that live here in this country and make it great.
So the people putting on some of the events of this week, including the director of the pageant on Sunday, actually has that sentiment in mind as he was planning the event, basically not wanting to offend the Republican movement so much, not wanting to over-glorify the Queen, just to celebrate her in a simple way, according to the director of that event, of the pageant, in order to keep the focus on her duty, on her stability, and her continuity over her 70 years of reign. Heather?
Salima, thank you so much. Really looking forward to sharing these days with you. Thank you for our first conversation of many. Salima Shivji there from Croydon.